Recap: Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Dao, Chapter 95. Chapter Refa. The winds of the barren plains whispered like ghosts drifting through an ancient grave, carrying with them the silence of a forgotten era. Ling Han and Shui Yanyu strode forward across this lifeless expanse, their footsteps echoing faintly against the empty land. After traveling for some distance and confirming that no prying eyes lurked nearby, Ling Han raised his hand calmly. With a flick of his sleeve, space rippled like a veil being lifted, and figures emerged one after another from the depths of the Black Tower. Yet not all were summoned. Ken Ye, Ju Ju, and the others remained behind, still immersed in cultivation. Their strength had yet to reach the level where stepping into this place would grant them any advantage. For them, the path forward lay not in wandering the world, but in deepening their power within seclusion. Only 5 figures appeared: Feng Po Yun, the Rain Emperor, Murong Qing, Helian Tianyun, and Ding Ping. As for the Asura Demon Emperor, though present, he inhabited the body of a puppet wolf, an existence neither fully alive nor truly human. A being born of the netherworld could hardly be counted among men. The moment they emerged, their eyes widened. So, this is the great tomb among the stars? The Rain Emperor murmured, his voice tinged with awe. Before them stretched a world unlike any they had imagined. It bore resemblance to the joint peace planet, vast, open, almost ordinary. Yet beneath this surface lay something unsettling. The spiritual chi was thin, nearly absent, but the life essence in the air was rich beyond measure, thick as an invisible ocean. Ling Han nodded slowly. This is only the interior. The scale of this tomb is beyond imagination. A spark lit in the Rain Emperor's eyes, sharp, eager, burning with battle intent. His aura rose like a storm about to break. Heh, now that we're here, he said, voice low, yet resolute, why not each walk our own path? Feng Po Yun and Murong Qing exchanged glances before nodding in agreement. Their expressions were calm, yet their spirits surged like blades unsheathed. Ling Han frowned slightly. It would be safer if we traveled together. This place is no simple land. There are too many powerful figures here, far beyond what we've faced before. Though the Rain Emperor and the others had stepped into the immortal level and possessed the rare ability to challenge those above their rank, Ling Han knew well. This tomb held countless elites. Among them were those who could crush even prodigies like ants. Feng Po Yun only smiled, his voice steady as a mountain. Fourth brother, we are not meant to grow in the shadow of others. Our path lies in battle. Only through blood and danger can we temper ourselves. Ling Han paused. Then he nodded. These were not ordinary cultivators. Each of them was a peerless genius. The Rain Emperor had once ruled an entire empire. How could such a man walk behind another forever? Pride, strength, destiny. They demanded independence. Very well, and said at last, we'll meet again at the exit. Take care, fourth brother. With that, the 3 figures turned, each choosing a different direction, vanishing into the endless plains without hesitation. Helian Tianyun scratched his head, letting out a chuckle. Well, if they've all gone off, I won't cling to you either, little Ling. We'll meet again. And just like that, he too departed. Ding Ping shifted restlessly, his gaze flickering with excitement. Master, I also. Ling Han shot him a look, rolling his eyes. You break through to the immortal level first, only then can you roam freely. For now, stay obediently by my side. Understood, Ding Ping replied immediately, not daring to argue further. Thus, the 3 remaining figures chose a direction and continued forward. The land stretched endlessly, a desolate plain devoid of life. No grass, no trees, no beasts, not even the faintest trace of insects. It was a dead world. And yet, that was what made it strange. Though spiritual chi was nearly non-existent, ordinary life did not rely on it. And with such overwhelming life essence filling the air, this place should have been lush, vibrant, overflowing with life. But instead, it was barren, a mystery buried beneath silence. They traveled for nearly a full day. Then, Ling Han's expression changed abruptly, his eyes narrowing. Ahead, something moved. No, not movement. A presence. A vast one. What is it, master? Ding Ping asked quickly. Ling Han activated the Eye of Truth. In that instant, his gaze pierced through illusion and distance. What he saw made even him pause. Ahead stood an army. Row upon row upon row, each line alone contained thousands. Extend the vision further, tens of thousands, no, hundreds of thousands. A sea of figures stretching to the horizon. Yet, they're not people. Ling Han said slowly, his voice laced with astonishment. "They're stone statues. Move," he suddenly commanded. Without hesitation, he surged forward. Ding Ping tried to follow, but how could his speed compare? In the next moment, bang! A powerful kick sent him flying like a shooting star. "Master!" Ding Ping's wail echoed through the air as he shot ahead uncontrollably. Shu Yanyu sighed, shooting Ling Han a glance. If others had such a disciple, they would treasure him like a priceless gem. But Ling Han? He treated the boy like a test subject. Yet, there was no denying Ding Ping's astonishing growth. If she did not push herself harder, she might truly be surpassed. Ling Han laughed, grabbing Shu Yanyu and accelerating. "Disciple, that was merely a test of your reaction speed," he called out cheerfully. "And your performance was quite disappointing." Ahead, boom! Ding Ping crashed headfirst into the ground, his body half buried. Struggling free, he lifted his head and froze. Before him stood the vast army of stone statues. An oppressive stillness hung in the air. Heart-pounding, he prepared for battle. Only after a moment did he realize they were unmoving, silent, lifeless. Relief washed over him. By then, Ling Han and Shuai Yanyu had arrived, the puppet wolf following closely behind. Ling Han swept his gaze across the formation, his eyes gleaming with calculation. "At least 1,000,000, he murmured. 1,000,000 stone statues." Shuai Yanyu tilted her head slightly. "Funerary objects?" Ling Han nodded faintly. "Most likely 1,000,000 to accompany the dead, ensuring he does not face eternity alone." Then his expression grew solemn. "Even the strongest cannot escape death." He looked toward the endless ranks of statues. "Is there truly no one who can live forever?" Even Genesis-tier cultivators, beings who could exist for billions of years, were not eternal. Their lifespan, though vast beyond comprehension, would one day reach its end. Time consumed all. After walking further, they discovered a towering stone tablet, 9 meters high, standing before the formation. Unlike the blurred inscriptions at the tomb's entrance, these characters were sharp, clear, filled with authority. Ling Han read aloud. "Those who believe themselves invincible may challenge this formation." Shu Yanyu frowned. "Do we go around or enter?" Ling Han was about to respond. Then, suddenly, his gaze sharpened. "There's movement." They leapt into the air, looking toward the left. 300 meters away, a group of cultivators had already entered the formation. In the next instant, the statues moved. Stone limbs shifted, weapons rose, an army awakened. Battle erupted. Ling Han and Shuai Yanyu spoke in unison, their voices echoing with realization. Puppets! They had seen such things before. But this was different. On Earth's core island, there had only been thousands, weak at the lower extreme of the mountain river tier. Here, every single puppet stood at the early stage of the consummate level of the mountain river tier. Their power was terrifying. The challengers struggled desperately, but it was futile. In mere moments, they were overwhelmed, beaten, bloodied, and thrown out of the formation like broken dolls, bruises, wounds, blood staining their robes. None had succeeded. "Let's go around," one of them said weakly. No one objected. The formation stretched only a kilometer in width, but its depth, it seemed endless. Millions of statues might lie within. As the group passed by Ling Han's side, several glanced toward Shuai Yanyu, their eyes flickering with greed. Yet, when they turned back, their expressions changed instantly. Fear. Without a word, they hastened their steps and fled. Ling Han followed their gaze. Behind them, a figure approached, Xiaowuk, and his entourage. Understanding dawned. Those people had not retreated because of Ling Han. They had fled from Xiaowuke. Xiaowuke smiled faintly, his expression calm, yet filled with quiet confidence. "Hey, we meet again," he said. "It seems fate binds us together." Yet even as he spoke, his eyes flickered with curiosity. Before, Ling Han had only been accompanied by Shuai Yanyu, but now there was a youth at the Shattering Void tier and a puppet wolf. Where had they come from? The mystery deepened as the silent army of stone awaited its next challenger. A trace of displeasure flickered through Shuai Yanyu's heart, as subtle and cold as a passing frost beneath moonlight. She had never liked those who clung like shadows, uninvited and persistent. Yet with Ling Han standing beside her, she held her tongue, choosing instead to let him handle the matter. Ling Han merely let out a soft chuckle, calm and unhurried, as though the tension before them was nothing more than drifting clouds. Then he raised a hand slightly and said, "To avoid any further coincidences, why don't you go first?" With that, he gestured toward the vast stone statue formation ahead, inviting Xiao Wuke to step into it. Ling Han had already witnessed the terrifying nature of this place. Every single stone statue standing within that formation possessed battle prowess at the consummate level of the mountain river tier. Though each statue only stood at the early stage of that level, their numbers, vast beyond counting, made up for any lack of individual strength. This was no mere gathering of hundreds or even thousands. There were millions, an endless army of silent guardians. In truth, aside from Sun Moon tier elites, it would be nearly impossible for anyone at the Mountain River tier to force their way through this formation. Against such overwhelming numbers, who could possibly stand their ground? The spear-wielding man stepped forward at once, lowering his voice as he warned, "Young master, please be cautious." They had arrived later than Ling Han, and all they had seen before were those battered cultivators circling helplessly outside the formation that, with the scene before them now, it was obvious. These statues were no ordinary constructs. Yet Xiaowuke's expression did not waver. Confidence shone from his eyes like blazing sunlight. He was a prince of the domineering summer majestic empire, a peerless genius destined to dominate his era. In his heart, he believed himself invincible among those of the same cultivation level, and as long as these statues had not reached the sun-moon tier, then there was nothing here worth fearing. This was not mere belief. To him, it was truth. He turned his gaze toward Shui Yanyu, a faint smile curling his lips. "Miss Shui, how about I escort you through this formation?" The meaning behind his words was unmistakable. He intended to take her away from Ling Han right before his eyes. Ling Han gave a faint snort and waved his hand dismissively. "No need to trouble yourself. Besides, you might not even make it through. I suggest you don't boast too early." For a brief moment, irritation flashed across Xiaowuke's face. He had never once regarded Ling Han as anything more than an insect beneath his feet. Yet this insect had provoked him again and again, pushing the limits of his patience. Still, before Shui Yanyu, he maintained his composure. "Then watch carefully," he said calmly. "I'll clear a path for Miss Shui." Not once did he mention Ling Han's name. That omission alone spoke volumes. He stepped forward and glanced at the stone tablet nearby, reading aloud, "Those who believe themselves invincible may challenge this formation. Heh, if my opponents are at the same cultivation level as me, then I am indeed invincible." With those words, he strode into the formation. The moment he advanced a few steps, the silent statues around him seemed to awaken. Their stone bodies trembled, then surged forward like a tidal wave, launching attacks from all directions. Yet Xiao Wuke did not move to strike. Instead, a terrifying aura erupted from his body, surging outward like a storm unleashed. His gaze sharpened. "Weaklings like you are not worthy of being my opponents." Ping! 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 The charging statues were blasted away instantly, sent flying through the air as though struck by an invisible force. Ling Han's eyes narrowed slightly as he observed, powerful, truly powerful. Even he could defeat opponents at the early stage of the consummate level, but to repel them purely with aura, without even lifting a finger, that was something he could not do. Clearly, Xiao Wuke was not merely at the peak stage of the consummate level. His true battle prowess likely exceeded his cultivation by 4, perhaps even 5 stars. No wonder he carried himself with such arrogance. Behind him, the spear-wielding man and the others burst into cheers, their admiration unrestrained. "Young master is unmatched." They quickly followed after him, entering the formation as well. However, though they all stood at the same cultivation level, the difference in their strength was immediately revealed. The spear-wielding man fought fiercely, each thrust of his weapon sending a stone statue crashing backward. Yet others were far less capable. Once surrounded by a mere dozen statues, they were already thrown into danger, struggling to hold on. And Xiaowuke, he did not look back. Hands clasped behind his back, he continued forward, his arrogance soaring like a dragon rising through the heavens. Ling Han watched quietly and said, "To be fair, he really is strong." He spoke not from guesswork, but from comparison. The spear-wielding man was already formidable, yet even he began to tire as he pushed deeper into the formation. Meanwhile, Xiaowuke had yet to even launch a true attack. Though his pace had slowed slightly, it was only because maintaining such an overwhelming aura consumed vast amounts of origin power. This was the cost of showing off. Even for someone like him, such waste could not be sustained forever. Sweat had already begun to bead across his forehead, and yet he had not even crossed 1% of the formation. After advancing further, Xiaowuke finally moved. His hands swept outward, unleashing waves of terrifying power that smashed the surrounding statues into the air with ease. Each motion was effortless, each strike overwhelming, like an emperor crushing ants beneath his feet. It was a display of dominance. At that moment, Ding Ping edged closer to Ling Han and asked in a low voice, "Master, can you defeat him?" Ling Han fell silent for a moment, considering carefully before answering. If there's a limit on the number of exchanges, then he wins. But if there's no limit, then I win. His reasoning was simple. In a short battle, where victory must be decided quickly, Xiao Wuke would hold the advantage. His battle prowess exceeded his cultivation by more than 4 stars, and his realm was 6 sub-minor levels higher than Ling Han's. That was a difference of nearly 10 stars, an overwhelming gap. But Ling Han possessed something else, a physique forged like divine metal, a body that would not fall unless completely destroyed in an instant. If the battle dragged on, Xiaowuke's stamina would eventually run dry, and when that happened, victory would belong to Ling Han. Of course, once someone understood the monstrous resilience of Ling Han's body, who would be foolish enough to engage him in a prolonged battle? In most cases, it would end in a draw. Fortunately, the spear-wielding man did not hear this conversation. Otherwise, he would have undoubtedly mocked them for their shameless confidence. Meanwhile, more and more people arrived at the scene. Some chose to skirt around the formation, unwilling to take the risk. Others stepped forward, driven by their pride, eager to prove themselves. At first, Ling Han paid little attention, but soon a flicker of surprise crossed his face. Every single person who arrived was at the Mountain River tier. It was understandable that there were no Heavenly Body tier elites. They were rare, after all. But the complete absence of Sun Moon tier elites, that was strange. Have the crowds been separated without realizing it? He wondered. No wonder this formation only contains puppets at the Mountain River tier. It must have been designed specifically for cultivators of this realm. If a Sun Moon tier elite entered, even tens of millions of statues wouldn't be enough to stop them. The thought struck him deeply. This was the work of a true powerhouse. Even after countless years had passed since their death, the mechanisms they left behind still functioned flawlessly, shaping the battlefield without anyone noticing. Though Ling Han had arrived at this conclusion, he could not sense any abnormality himself. It was a chilling realization. One by one, challengers stepped into the formation, each convinced of their own invincibility. And one by one, most of them were defeated within moments, forced to retreat in disgrace. Fortunately, escape was not difficult. The formation stretched only 1 kilometer in width, and those who could no longer endure simply exited from the sides, yet there was something peculiar. People could leave from the sides, but they could not enter from there, as if the formation itself refused to allow any form of trickery. Ling Han's curiosity grew stronger. At last, he made his decision. "I'll go in," he said. He turned to Shui Yanyu and Ding Ping. "You two go around." Then he nodded toward the Asura Demon Emperor, a silent command to protect them. The Asura Demon Emperor immediately wagged his tail in acknowledgement. Shui Yanyu's brows knitted slightly, concern flickering in her eyes. Even though she knew Ling Han possessed the Black Tower, she could not help but worry. "Be careful," she said softly. "Don't act recklessly." Ling Han smiled, calm and fearless. "I know." In truth, he felt no fear at all. After breaking through to the high extreme, his body had already reached the strength of level 4 godly metal. Even if hundreds, thousands of these stone puppets attacked him at once, they would not be able to harm him in the slightest. After all, he was the natural nemesis of puppets. With steady steps and unwavering confidence, Ling Han walked forward, straight into the endless army of stone statues.